Despite efforts to oppose Greek life, the North American Interfraternity Conference represents about 350 undergraduates in over 800 campuses across the US and Canada. My purpose today is to persuade you to oppose the abolishment of fraternities and sororities. As a graduating senior, I have done much research on the benefits and drawbacks of being in a fraternity or sorority. Now, since most of us are graduating seniors in high school, I know that the prospect of Greek life has come up more than once in the past year or so. I also know that after reading some statistics regarding the positives and negatives of Greek life, you too may be worried about what would happen if you take part in it. However, I believe that after hearing my arguments concerning this issue, you too will see that they are good institutions for students to take part in. I will begin by discussing the problem, then some of its causes, and then conclude by offering a solution and pointing out some benefits related to it. With our roadmap in place, let's look at the problem. The problem is students support the abolishment of fraternities and sororities. For example, over the past 2 years, there has been a movement by members across the country to get rid of them. Only 4 months after the death of George Floyd in 2020, Emily Davies, reporting for the Washington Post, has found that hundreds of students at more than a dozen elite colleges and universities nationwide have cut ties with their fraternities and sororities over the past 3 months. In other words, the calls for abolishment started to gain ground only after the death of George Floyd. Another example is the call for abolishment coming from non-members. Reporting for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Emma Lane and Emily Alkus explained in late 2020 that many college students that don't necessarily include those who are part of fraternities or sororities across the country have given rise to the Abolish Greek Life movement. In other words, the negative aspects of fraternities and sororities have garnered a reaction not only from their members, but from the greater college community as well. Now that we've gone over the problem, let's look at some of its causes. There are 2 primary reasons why people support the abolishment of fraternities and sororities. The first stems from the belief that once you join, your life is in constant danger. In the Chronicle of Higher Education, which deals with academic affairs across the country, Sarah Brown pointed out in 2021 that fraternities and sororities, the former especially, repeatedly ends up in the news for activities such as hazing, alcohol-related deaths, date rapes, racism, and so on. And as you can see here in this infographic, the most concerning things across the country for people who are concerned about members are assault and battery, and sexual assault. In other words, just being a member of a fraternity or sorority means being exposed to a whole host of dangers you may not be prepared for. However, this can be true for any activity done on campus. Writing from Pennsylvania State University in 2014, Pavel Kurzanovsky, who is an undergraduate majoring in economics, points out that abolishing fraternities and sororities would not get rid of problems such as sexual assault and alcohol abuse, since it happens everywhere on the college campus. In other words, the dangers associated with fraternities and sororities happen frequently in other areas of a college campus, not just Greek Row. The second reason stems from the belief that they have always been racist institutions. In the same article by Emily Davies, she points out that when fraternities arose in the late 1700s and sororities in the late 1800s, they were spaces created exclusively for wealthy white Christian people. In other words, despite the advancements in modern times, the institutions of fraternities and sororities have continued to be centered around accepting white people. However, the past is not the present. In a study conducted by Crystal E. Garcia et al. That was published in the Oracle Research Journal of the Association of Fraternity Sorority Advisors in 2022, they found that the role activism plays in the lives of college students, especially students of color, has assisted greatly in changing what fraternities and sororities are meant for. In other words, the activism done by college students of color has reshaped how we think of fraternities and sororities. With our understanding of the problem and some of its causes covered, let's take a look at the solution. The solution, which is to bolster support for them through the actions of fraternities and sororities, offers two benefits. The first benefit is a mental health support system provided to college students. In 2021, the North American Interfraternity Conference wrote that the Post-Secondary Education Research Center at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, found that fraternity and sorority members believe that good support systems exist on campus and are more likely to seek therapy or counseling at some point in their lives. In other words, because of the mindset Greek life members have, they are more likely to rely on various mental health support systems than non-affiliated students do. The second benefit is higher levels of engagement in various community activities. In the same article mentioned before, the NIC brought up a study done by Dr. Gary R. Pike of Indiana University that found that membership is associated with significantly higher levels of engagement on a number of measures, including high-impact practices, collaborative learning, student-faculty interactions, perception of a supportive campus environment, and discussions with diverse others. In other words, being in a fraternity and sorority provides students with greater opportunities concerning a well-rounded college experience. As you can see, the arguments for abolishing fraternities and sororities are highly reactionary and fail to encompass what they are all about. Now, let's review what we have learned today. First, we learned that the problem is students support the abolishment of fraternities and sororities, as evidenced by many college students cutting ties with their fraternities and sororities, and the rise of a student movement, including members and non-members alike, called Abolish Greek Life. Next, we learned two reasons why students support abolishing fraternities and sororities, which included the belief that your life is in constant danger once you join a fraternity or sorority, and the belief that fraternities and sororities have always and continue to be racist institutions. However, we now know that the dangers commonly associated with fraternities and sororities can more accurately be attributed to the whole campus, not just the people on Greek Row. We also know that students of color who are members of fraternities and sororities are changing what these institutions stand for so that they can be more inclusive. Finally, we learned the solution, which is to bolster support for fraternities and sororities through the actions of students and parents, offers two benefits, which include the mental health support systems provided to students and the higher levels of community engagement. To be frank, I get why students want to abolish fraternities and sororities. The negative aspects that are frequently highlighted in the news has on occasion frightened me to the core. Furthermore, it would be terrifying if you were the parent of a student or a friend of a student who got raped or died of drug or alcohol overdose while participating in Greek life-related events. Nevertheless, the evidence is clear. Getting rid of fraternities and sororities would mean getting rid of all the good they provide to the greater college community. If that's what you hope to do, then you better make sure it's the right decision before making it.